the final resting place of ancient Egyptian Queen Nefertiti could finally been discovered thanks to advances in modern technology. For over a century, Queen Nefertiti has been treated as one of the most important women in ancient history. Nefertiti is the most important queen in Asia. History remembers Queen Nefertiti as the embodiment of beauty, power, and perfection. Yet one mystery has remained unsolved for more than 3,000 years. What really happened to her here? Her body was never found, giving rise to countless theories. Some claimed she was exiled, others believed she was murdered, while many suspected a conspiracy hidden deep within Egypt's royal court. Now, modern forensic science may finally be revealing the truth. Advanced CT scans and DNA analysis have uncovered startling clues pointing to violence, deliberate manipulation, and a royal cover-up so extreme that it nearly erased Nefertiti from history altogether. Was Egypt's most influential queen betrayed by those closest to her? Was her fate concealed to protect the throne and preserve a dynasty? What scientists have uncovered is as disturbing as it is astonishing. It is a story of an unidentified mummy, a missing queen, and a legendary bust that refused to let her be forgotten. For more than a century, the face of Queen Nefertiti has captivated the world. Calm, elegant, and seemingly timeless, her famous limestone bust appears almost alive with traces of paint still visible around her eyes, as if she blinked only moments ago. Her image is everywhere in textbooks, documentaries, museums, and history books. But while her face became one of the most recognizable in the ancient world, her body vanished. Her tomb has never been found. Her final resting place remains a mystery. And now, in a twist no one expected, modern science may have finally uncovered clues to what happened to her. What researchers found is deeply unsettling. Nefertiti did not simply fade from history, she disappeared. Around the 12th year of her husband Akhenaten's 17-year reign, her name suddenly stops appearing in the historical record. There are no clear burial inscriptions, no confirmed tomb, and no reliable account how she died. Some scholars suggested that disease or plague may have claimed her life. Greater than. Others believed she died from natural causes. But a more troubling possibility lingered in the background. What if someone intentionally erased her from history? Then came a discovery known as KV-21. In 1817, deep within Egypt's Valley of the Kings, archaeologists uncovered a forgotten tomb hidden beneath the desert sands. Inside the tomb were two female mummies. Both were badly damaged, headless, greater than, and in an advanced state of decay. There were no names, no jewelry, and no funerary inscriptions to reveal who they had once been. One of the mummies known as KV-21B was cataloged and stored for further study. For decades, researchers struggled to extract usable DNA. The remains were simply too fragile, and the genetic material had deteriorated over thousands of years. Then in 2022, everything changed. Using advanced next-generation sequencing, technology scientists were finally able to recover enough DNA to build a complete mitochondrial profile. Greater than. What they discovered was astonishing. KV-41B shared the same maternal haplogroup as Tutankhamun. This meant she was not merely connected to Egypt's royal family. She was a member of it. The evidence suggested she could have been a sister, an aunt, or perhaps someone even closer. For some researchers, the discovery pointed toward one name more than any other Nefertiti. But the most disturbing revelation did not come from the DNA. It came from the scans. When forensic specialists performed detailed CT imaging on the mummy, they expected to find the usual damage caused by age, burial conditions, and the passage of time. Instead, they found something far more troubling. The arms appeared broken and forced into unnatural positions behind the body. The ribcage showed signs of severe crushing. Even more alarming was the damage to the skull, where one side appeared to have been shattered by a powerful impact. According to Dr. Sahar Salim, who helped lead the imaging analysis, these injuries did not appear to be the result of centuries of decay. They seemed to have occurred at or near the time of death. Suddenly, the mystery was no longer just about identifying the woman inside the tomb. It was about understanding what happened to her and why. The famous bust of Nefertiti, than greater than portrays a queen frozen in perfect calm and beauty. But beneath that image, a very different story may be waiting to be told, one that grows more mysterious with every new discovery. While scientists focused on ancient DNA and forensic evidence, archaeologists turned their attention elsewhere. They began searching for clues in stone, walls convinced that the final chapter of Nefertiti's story might be hidden in plain sight. The search led them to the most famous tomb in Egypt. In 2015, excitement swept through the archaeological community when British Egyptologist Dr. Nicholas Reeves proposed a remarkable theory. After examining ultra-high-resolution scans of Tutankhamun's burial chamber, Reeves noticed faint lines and subtle features beneath the painted walls. To him, they didn't look like random cracks or imperfections. He believed they were the outlines of sealed doorways. According to Reeves, these passages had been deliberately covered with plaster and painted over more than 3,000 years. Greater than, hiding something beyond them. His theory was as bold as it was controversial. Tutankhamun's tomb, discovered in 1922, has always puzzled researchers. Compared to other royal tombs, it is unusually small and appears to have been completed in great haste. Reeves argued that the tomb was never originally intended for Tutankhamun at all. Instead, he suggested it may have belonged to someone else and was quickly adapted after the young king's unexpected death. And the person he believed it was built for was Nefertiti. Reeves proposed that hidden chambers could exist beyond the tombs, walls, and that one of them might contain the long-lost burial of Egypt's most famous queen. If true, her resting place could have remained untouched and undiscovered for more than 3 millennia. The possibility captivated the world. Soon, teams began searching for evidence. Ground-penetrating radar scans carried out by Japanese researchers appeared to detect unusual voids behind the north and west walls of the burial chamber. The findings were intriguing enough that Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities led it. The Time by Dr. Mamdouh Eldamadi acknowledged that the anomalies could represent hidden spaces, or even previously unknown rooms. As news spread, speculation intensified. Could Nefertiti's tomb really be concealed just beyond the walls of Tutankhamun's burial chamber? Was one of archaeology's greatest discoveries waiting only a few feet away? The whispers quickly grew into a global debate, and the mystery of Nefertiti seemed closer to being solved than ever before. Could Nefertiti really have been there all along? Resting just a few feet beyond the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, hidden behind the young king's golden mask for more than 3,000 years. For a moment, it seemed possible. But in 2018, the excitement began to fade. An Italian research team conducted a new survey using more advanced and sensitive radar technology. Their results failed to confirm the existence of any hidden chambers behind the walls. According to their findings, the anomalies detected earlier could simply have been natural variations in the limestone bedrock. To many, the mystery appeared solved, yet the debate refused to disappear. Some researchers argued that the latest scans may have been misinterpreted. Others suggested that outside pressures or competing interests may have influenced the conclusions. Whether true or not, the disagreement ensured that Nicholas Reeves's theory remained alive. And that is what makes the mystery so fascinating. The ancient Egyptians were masters of secrecy. Their tombs were carefully designed to mislead thieves, conceal treasures, and protect the dead. Hidden passages, false doors, and elaborate deceptions were common features of royal burials. So the question remains, could Nefertiti's tomb be the greatest deception of them all? But the mystery does not end there. Long before DNA testing and radar scans entered the picture, Egyptologists were already wrestling with another puzzling question. Who ruled Egypt in the turbulent years between the death of Akhenaten and the rise of Tutankhamun? Ancient records mention a mysterious pharaoh known as Smenkhkare, a ruler who appeared suddenly reigned for only a short time and then seemed to vanish from history almost without a trace. Yet some researchers have proposed a remarkable possibility. What if Smenkhkare was not a man at all? For years, a growing number of scholars have explored the theory that Nefertiti herself may have assumed the throne under a different royal identity. Far from being pure speculation, the idea is supported by intriguing clues found in damaged inscriptions, temple reliefs, and fragments of historical records. Some images appear to depict a ruler with unmistakably royal symbols, traditionally associated with a king, including the double crown of Egypt and the ceremonial false beard. In several cases, names and titles seem to have been altered or erased with traces suggesting connections to Nefertiti's own royal status. If the theory is correct, the Nefertiti may not have disappeared after Akhenaten's death at all. She may have continued to rule Egypt in secret, adopting a new identity as pharaoh, while later generations worked to erase the evidence of her reign from history. According to Egyptologist Dr. Joyce Tildesley, Nefertiti was far more than a queen. She held extraordinary influence and religious authority, standing alongside Akhenaten as one of the most powerful figures in Egypt. As Akhenaten's reign drew to a close, something unusual began to appear in the historical record. Inscriptions started referring to Nefertiti using masculine royal titles and epithets, an honor no Egyptian queen before her had ever received. Was this simply symbolism, or was it the beginning of something much bigger? Some researchers believe it may have marked a quiet transition of power, the first signs that Nefertiti was preparing to rule as pharaoh in her own right. The evidence becomes even more intriguing inside Tutankhamun's tomb. Several objects buried with the young king appear to have been created for someone else. On certain gold artifacts, inscriptions show signs of hurried alterations. Female references were removed and replaced with masculine ones, as if the identity of the original owner had been deliberately changed. Some scholars argue these items were originally made for a female ruler, possibly Nefertiti herself ruling under the name Smenkhkare before they were later repurposed for Tutankhamun's burial. If true, it suggests something remarkable. Nefertiti's legacy may not simply have been erased. It may have been overwritten and reused, leaving only faint traces behind. The mystery deepens when historians look at Smenkkare's reign. Ancient records indicate that this enigmatic ruler governed Egypt for less than 3 years before disappearing completely from the historical record. No confirmed tomb has ever been identified. No mummy has been conclusively linked to the ruler. Only fragments of inscriptions, altered names, and unanswered questions remain. This has led some researchers to suspect that the missing ruler between Akhenaten and Tutankhamun was not a forgotten king at all, but Nefertiti herself governing Egypt under a new royal identity. If that theory is correct, it changes everything. Nefertiti did not vanish after Akhenaten's death. Instead, she may have risen to the highest position in the kingdom before later generations systematically removed evidence of her rule. Like the famous bust that preserved her face, history may have preserved only part of her story while burying the rest. And just when Egyptologists believed the mystery could not become any more complicated, another mummy entered the investigation. Known simply as the Younger Lady, she was discovered in Kfi 35, the tomb that also contained the remains of Amenhotep II and several other royal mummies. At first, she attracted little attention. She had no identifying inscriptions, no royal treasures, and no obvious clues to reveal who she was. Her remains were badly damaged, and for years she was treated as little more than an anonymous figure among Egypt's countless dead. But that anonymity would not last for long. Then, in 2010, everything changed. A groundbreaking DNA study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, AMA, revealed a stunning discovery. The mysterious woman, known as the Younger Lady, was not only the biological mother of Tutankhamun, she was also the full sister of Akhenaten. The findings sent shockwaves through the world of Egyptology. The genetic evidence immediately ruled out several candidates, including Kia, one of Akhenaten's known wives. As a result, attention once again turned to the most famous missing woman in ancient Egypt, Nefertiti. But there was a problem. For decades, most scholars had believed that Nefertiti was not Akhenaten's sister. Historical evidence generally suggested she came from a different background, possibly as the daughter of a high-ranking official or diplomat named A. That left researchers facing a difficult question. Was the DNA pointing to an entirely different royal woman? Or had history misunderstood Nefertiti's origins all along? The mystery became even darker when scientists examined the younger lady's remains more closely. Her face showed signs of devastating trauma. Her jaw was shattered. Part of her cheekbone had been destroyed by a massive wound. Researchers concluded that this was not ordinary damage caused by centuries of decay. The injury appeared to have occurred around the time of her death. Some experts suggested she may have been struck by a powerful blow from a blunt object. Others noted that the wound was consistent with severe violence, raising unsettling questions about how she died. Was it an accident, or something far more sinister? The possibility of political intrigue quickly entered the discussion. Throughout history, royal courts have been filled with rivalries, power struggles, and conspiracies. The injuries seen on the younger lady seemed to fit uncomfortably well within that world, and so the speculation continued. Could this woman have been Nefertiti, living under another identity? Was she removed from power, silenced and hidden away where no one would think to look? Or was she another member of the royal family whose memory was erased because of her connection to the controversial Amarna period and Akhenaten's religious revolution? Even today, the younger lady remains one of Egypt's most haunting mysteries. What researchers do know is that she was a royal woman. She was closely connected to the center of power. And for reasons still unknown, her identity was lost to history. Some theorists have even suggested that Nefertiti's famous bust may have unintentionally distracted the world from the deeper history. While generations admired the image of the queen, the truth about the woman herself remained buried beneath layers of missing records, damaged remains, and unanswered questions. If the younger lady were ever proven to be Nefertiti, it would completely transform our understanding of her story. Instead of a queen who simply disappeared from the historical record, she would become a ruler whose final years were marked by violence, secrecy, and a deliberate effort to erase her legacy, leaving the world searching for the truth more than 3,000 years later. What happened to Nefertiti's children? While the fate of Nefertiti herself continues to fascinate historians, an equally haunting mystery surrounds her 6 daughters. Born into one of the most powerful families in ancient Egypt, each of them stood at the center of a royal dynasty. Yet one by one they seem to disappear from history. Their names, Meritaten, Meketaten, and Kesenpa'aten, Nefertiti, Tasha Rit Neferneferera, and Sitapenra, once appeared prominently on palace walls and temple reliefs. They are frequently depicted beside their mother during royal ceremonies, religious rituals, and official state events. Then something changed. After the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, the historical record begins to grow silent. One by one, the daughters fade from view, leaving behind more questions than answers. One of the earliest disappearances was Meketaten, Nefertiti's second daughter. Most historians believe she died around the 14th year of Akhenaten's reign. Inside the royal tomb at Amarna, a remarkable wall scene depicts members of the royal family mourning over her body. But even this heartbreaking image has become a source of debate. The scene includes a nurse holding an infant, an unusual detail in what appears to be a funeral setting. Some researchers have wondered whether Meketaten may have died during childbirth, with the baby surviving. Others argue the child could have represented another member of the royal family. The truth remains uncertain. Then there is Ankhesenpa'aten, perhaps the most famous of Nefertiti's daughters. After the collapse of the Amarna court, she reappeared under a new name, Ankhesenamun. She became the wife of Tutankhamun, her half-brother, and briefly stood beside him as queen during one of Egypt's most turbulent periods. Yet her story is no less mysterious. Among the archives of the Hittite Empire, historians discovered a remarkable letter written by an Egyptian queen. In it, a desperate royal woman pleaded with the Hittite king to send one of his sons to become her husband, claiming she had no heir and no suitable candidate to rule beside her. The request shocked the Hittites. A prince was eventually sent to Egypt, but he never arrived. He was killed before reaching his destination, triggering a diplomatic crisis between the two kingdoms. The identity of the queen who wrote the letter was never recorded with certainty. However, many scholars believe the author may have been Ankhesenamun struggling to secure her position after Tutankhamun's death. And then, just like her mother, she vanished. No confirmed tomb has ever been identified. No undisputed remains have been found. She simply disappears from the historical record, when viewed together, the pattern is difficult to ignore. One daughter dies young, another vanishes after a political crisis. The younger sisters disappear from surviving records with little explanation. By the end of the dynasty, the once prominent family that dominated Egypt appears to have been swallowed by history. Some historians believe this may have been more than coincidence. Akhenaten's religious revolution was deeply controversial. After his death, later rulers worked aggressively to restore traditional beliefs and erase traces of the Amarna period. Temples were dismantled, names were removed from monuments, and official records were altered. Today, their existence survives only through damaged inscriptions and broken fragments of stone. It is almost as if they vanished without a trace. But just as researchers thought they were getting closer to solving the mystery of Nefertiti's family, a new clue emerged. Not from tombs or inscriptions, but from DNA itself. Scientists began noticing a troubling pattern hidden within the genetic makeup of the Amarna royal family. This mystery was no longer about missing tombs or forgotten identities. It was about the bloodline itself. It was about a biological legacy that seemed to appear again and again in the remains associated with Akhenaten Tutankhamun, the younger lady, and later KV-21b. The mummy some researchers have linked to Nefertiti. When scientists analyzed the DNA of Tutankhamun's immediate family in 2010, they found evidence suggesting several inherited health problems. The data pointed to rare recessive traits, skeletal abnormalities, and reduced physical resilience conditions, often associated with generations of close family intermarriage. For Egypt's royal families, marriages between relatives were not unusual. They were seen as a way to preserve the sacred bloodline of the pharaohs. But the genetic cost may have been significant. As more evidence was studied, researchers continued to identify patterns suggesting that the Amarna dynasty carried a number of inherited vulnerabilities. Then another intriguing clue began to emerge. The same genetic patterns that may have weakened the dynasty could also help explain some of the injuries, illnesses, and mysterious deaths that surrounded Nefertiti's family. As researchers incorporated new genetic data from KV-21b into the growing Amarna family tree, they identified traits that appeared consistent with the royal lineage. Some of these markers suggested a predisposition to fragile bone structure and increased vulnerability to serious injury. If those findings are accurate, the severe trauma found on KV-21b's remains becomes even more significant. The damage to the skull and chest was already substantial, but for someone with underlying physical weaknesses, such injuries could have been far more devastating. This raises a troubling question. If KV-21b was truly a member of the royal family and possibly even Nefertiti, could hidden health vulnerabilities have played a role in her fate? The mystery deepens when scientists look beyond a single individual. Genetic patterns found throughout the Amarna dynasty